do something just a little different. First of all, let me welcome all of those watching on YouTube. Very nice to have all of you with us today. We're going to begin with a little passage of A Course in Miracles. I'll read it aloud. In fact, our group will read it aloud for all of you viewing us, and we're just very happy to have you with us this morning. So we're going to begin with a little handout today. One of the things that we'd like to do is to try to bring a little more education into our Sunday mornings. Not that you're not educated enough in many ways, but we just want to put a little extra something into our Sunday services. So our goal is to bring a little bit of a teaching into our Sunday morning in addition to simply giving a talk that I think you'll enjoy. Make sure we have enough, I think, for everyone. This particular passage is a passage from A Course in Miracles. It's a text from the Course in Miracles, and it's a very, very lovely presentation. So let me go through it with you, and first of all give you a couple of explanations along the way. All of that stuff at the bottom, you'll see where it says text 2:1 through 6 and so on. All of that means, if you're looking at the Course in Miracles, it means it's the text itself, which is the beginning teaching, chapter 2, section 1, paragraph 1, lines 1 through 6. So I just want you to know that's where all of that stuff comes from. But don't worry about that. What we have here is the actual quote itself. So let me begin. I just want to mention a couple of things, then we'll read this all together. To extend, the word extend, if you just use the word create, that's an easier word to use, to create. And at the very end of the first line where it says, to extend or create is a fundamental aspect of God which he gave to his Son. His Son means all of us. It doesn't mean Jesus, but it means to each one of us. So I thought the easiest thing would be for us just to read this together, and then I'm going to make a comment or two, then I'll move into the talk, and then we'll come back to this, and it'll all work out nice, I think. So don't forget, the word to extend means to create. His Son means all of us. So let's just read this together. I think it's pretty cool. To extend is a fundamental aspect of God which he gave to his Son. In the creation, God extended himself to his creations and imbued them with the same loving will to create. You have not only been fully created, but have also been created perfect. There is no emptiness in you. Because of your likeness to your Creator, you are created. No child of God can lose this ability because it is inherent in what he is. Well, that's a pretty lofty view of life, huh? But I think realistically, that's exactly where we are. We realize that each one of us is an extension of that God Spirit. And in that third line, it's a very beautiful line, we are imbued with the very same loving will to create. And I think realistically, that's what all of us are doing. We have a loving will to create. We'll be addressing that as we go through the talk here today. Hey, you're perfect. No imperfection within you. There's no emptiness within you. It's just a matter of each one of us claiming that perfection and understanding how it can come forth in our lives. And whether you like it or not, you're a continuous creator. You cannot not create. It is inherent within us. So this is kind of a nice little introduction. I'm going to be talking about creation today. We'll probably read it again at the end. It'll just be fun, and perhaps we'll read it with more gusto and more enthusiasm and so on. But let's begin with the major talk that I want to give today. This is entitled The Soul, Part 6. Namely, you are the Creator. So let me just briefly review the first 5 lessons, and then we'll move into the 6th talk today. So let me begin first of all by saying that it's always fun to talk about you, because we don't like to just talk about amorphous, ephemeral things, but we like to talk about you, and to be able to realize that each one of us is a part of the mighty soul, the wonderful creation that each one of us has been brought forth as from our Creator. So we're going to be talking about you this morning. In part one of our talks, we talked about the notion that each one of us is an eternal soul. The second thing we talked about was that each one of us, I think more and more, we realize in a sense that we no longer are under false limitations. There have been a lot of false limitations imposed upon us, sometimes by our family, sometimes by society, sometimes by religion. And we've learned to, in a sense, get rid of those false limitations. In part three, we talked about the notion that the soul is really the eternal part of us. It is the soul, not the body, that has a lifetime guarantee. Pretty important, pretty important. In part four, we viewed the soul as the fountain of youth. The holy grail of life is really coming to know your soul and to be able to know the consciousness that is truly who you are. That's the holy grail. That's what everyone is looking for. And then in part five, we talked about the soul being our natural state of living, our natural state of life. That the soul is our natural self, is becoming our all the time, eyes opened, walking around in the world state of self. With all of that in mind, let's not worry too much about the coffee. No big deal, no big deal. And if we knock over the rest, that's fine too. Absolutely. So in part six, what we're going to be addressing today is the final aspect of the teachings, namely to clearly focus on each one of us as a creator. In fact, you cannot not create. So we're going to be focusing on you as a creator here today. So let's begin. You kind of ask yourself every once in a while, what in the heck are you doing here? What are you just realistically doing here? And what I want to suggest to you is that, well, each one of us is creating. So let's just kind of ask the question again, what in the heck are you doing here? And I think we can honestly say each one of us is creating. You cannot not create. Every day you have these ideas that are swirling through your head. And in some way, shape, or form, these ideas swirling in your head, they become manifested in an action, in a word, or sometimes in another thought. And it keeps things going again and again in your mind. So you cannot not create. The only question I would suggest to you is, well, where are you creating from? So what I would like to suggest is there's probably three places that you create from in your life. The first place I would suggest to you is that we create from the circumstances of our lives. We create from the events that are going on in our lives. Relationships, economy, money, physicality, things in society, communications among ourselves, and so on. And these events that go on in our life are very, very important. Although probably more and more, these events are not quite as important as they once were to you. It doesn't mean that they're not important. It just means that perhaps maybe some other things have occurred. So it's not so much that events determine our lives as we determine the meaning of those events. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. The second place, in a sense, where you can create from is kind of creating from your own selfish center, your own ego, where it's more about me rather than about you, where it's more about our family as opposed to all of us as a family. It's just very easy to be so self-centered. Well, what I want to suggest to you here this morning is that neither of those two places are the principal places from which many of us now create. We do not create so much from what's going on out there, nor do we create so much from what's going on in our heads, but we've learned to create from a different place. And what I'd like to suggest to you is the place from which each one of us more and more creates is from that God Spirit, that creating presence at the very center of ourselves. What I would just want to suggest is that each one of us is more and more creating from the spirit that is within us, that there is something within us, a presence within us, from which we are now creating. Not from out there, not from in here, but rather a presence within us that we really, in a sense, are creating from. I think for most of us, we begin to feel that, well, we are here to bring heaven to earth. That's not just kind of a nice, high-sounding, fluting type thing, but we are here to bring heaven to earth. And the basic idea is that we would use the qualities of our life, we would use the qualities within our soul to guide our interactions with each other and with the world on the whole. So in the Course in Miracles language, we would just say, we are here to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. So if someone were saying, what have you been up to lately? Hopefully you'd be able to say, well, you know, I've been creating the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Because I think more and more that's exactly what we feel like. So what I want to suggest to you this morning is that there are 5 qualities that really, in a sense, pertain to the creativity that is within us. And I would just like to suggest that you might, in a sense, see yourself in relationship to these 5 qualities. So let's begin and see how we go. The first quality I would suggest to you more than anything else is that each one of us is sincerely creating from the God Spirit within us. And this is what I mean by that, that we are anchoring the God Spirit here on the planet. That each one of us, in a sense, is really bringing that God Spirit into tangible form here on the planet. I would go so far as to say that each one of us is a new template, that each one of us is kind of a new you in the way that you're presenting that larger spirit here on the planet. That you're not just about your simple self, but you're really part of a larger universal energy that is allowing that presence to come here on the planet just more and more and more. There's probably a new you. There's just a new you. You may even be surprised at how much you've changed. My presumption is probably each one of us, we look in the mirror someday and we say, holy smokes, I can't believe that I've changed. I'm different. There's a newer you. Do you not feel that change of energy within yourself? From not just thinking about stuff to beginning to feel that presence within you, there's kind of a new radiation, a new energy that seems to be coming out through you. It's a very beautiful thing to be able to feel that you're really new, that you really have changed. But here's probably the best part. You're going to change even more. If you think you've come so far as of right now, and you have, I just want to give you my encouragement. There's going to be a newer, more expansive view into your future. I hope you feel that you're here to bring the God presence to the planet, and that each one of us will continue to expand in this way. The second thing I would suggest to you, in addition to that, is that there's a new observer within you. There's a new observer self that is going on within you. You are beginning to observe life. See if this is not true. You're beginning to observe life from the God Spirit within you, rather than simply from your normal everyday way of seeing things in the world. There's a new observer within you, and it is looking at things from the inside out. I think this is one of the most interesting things that I have seen, probably more than anything else, that there is a spirit within you. There is a spirit within you that is just different now. It's not so much that you cannot do an unloving thing anymore. But I think the neatest thing about all of us is we do the loving things all the time. It's more than just, I can't do something bad, but we're about the doing of good. There's a new observer that is going on within us. We are consciously bringing this spirit into practice. I would say you are going so far as to be a daily practice of the presence of God. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it? That each one of us has this energy within ourselves, and that our soul is vibrating with a truly wonderful spirit. I would go so far as to say we are becoming radiant in spirit. There's a radiance that's coming from you, and you know it. You feel it. You're just not the same old that you were. There's a new place, a new inner self, and from this place we are radiating what I consider to be a greater presence and spirit into the world. I mean, don't you think that's terrific? You're the only one that can gauge yourself. That to gauge yourself from this place and to be radiant in this energy, pretty cool experience. The third thing I would suggest to you that's rather interesting is the quality of oneness. This notion of oneness is it's a pretty interesting thing. The first point I would share with you is that nowadays there's a oneness within you. There's a oneness within you, that you no longer feel incomplete, that you're no longer searching, trying to find out, hoping to see something. What I would suggest is that each one of us, I think more and more, do you not feel more whole? Do you not feel complete? Do you not feel like you know what you're doing? Do you not feel in a sense that, well, you have found your identity, that you are a success, that you don't have to check in with someone else to see what they're thinking, that you believe in yourself? You no longer have to worry about what other people are doing, but rather you're confident in knowing what you are doing. It just seems to me that more than anything else, we have that confidence within ourselves. There's a oneness within ourselves that enables us to read accurately what's going on in life and to be able to respond accordingly. It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And then secondly, this oneness is not only within yourself, but it's also a oneness with our source energy, with the God energy. I think most of us feel that we are no longer disconnected. We're no longer disconnected like here I am, there God is. But rather there's a presence within us, there's a connection, and you feel that connection deeply within yourself. You just feel this connection. It's kind of like, well, you know that you are what God is doing. Now, at one time, people might have felt that was kind of boastful, but it's really kind of nice to say, well, I know that I am what the God Spirit is doing. It's kind of nice to pat yourself on the back and to feel good. I know that I am what that God Spirit is really doing in the world. It's a very beautiful experience to feel that. I would just want to suggest to you, you know you are what the God Spirit is doing in the world. Finally. You have come to the conclusion that this is who I am. I'm able to bring this energy into creative expression in the world. It's a wonderful, wonderful notion. The third part of the oneness with yourself, oneness with the universal experience, the third part I would suggest is this, that as you're sitting here right now, you're actually experiencing oneness. That's a pretty big thing. You know, you're not in your head, but you experience a oneness. There's a oneness within me. There's a oneness with the universal energy, and I feel this presence within me. And then you move to that next level, and it's the most interesting one. I think we have finally come to the realization and to the experience that we are a family of souls, that there's a oneness among us. We are finally getting over our personalities. Hardest thing in the world to get over, because you always think you're right. You always know what other people, in a sense, they're only good insofar as they're seeing your image of them and so on. But we're finally getting over that there is an experience of ourselves from a common place. So we're sitting here right now, just right now, that we are, in a sense, a family of souls. We can relate to each other at the soul level. That, to me, is our biggest accomplishment. We can see each other in the very same way that we see ourselves. And that we realize, in a sense, that we are this family of souls. We support each other, we care for each other, we encourage each other, but most of all, we know that we are that creative presence. And to become that family of souls, in my opinion, is our crowning achievement. It's hard to get over your personality. It's really hard. It's really hard to get over the personality of someone else. To be able to get over yourself and to be one with others, I believe to be one of our greatest accomplishments. It's the oneness that we're finally able to achieve. 2 more qualities. The 4th quality is a very interesting quality. What I would want to suggest by the 4th quality is that you have come now to own your sense of self. You have come to own your sense of self. That, what I mean by that is that you are in charge of your life. You're in charge of your life. Again, you don't have to ask anyone. You have self-confidence. You have self-assurance. And probably more than anything else, you're beginning to realize the independence of your personal ownership of being in the awareness. It's kind of like you don't need anyone else to believe in you because you believe in yourself. To own and believe in yourself is just one of the most important things in life. While we truly appreciate all the great avatars and all of the great writers right now in history writing wonderful books, while we appreciate everyone and appreciate our support, would you not say that you're able to stand tall on your own? It's kind of like, here I am. I've arrived. I know that, and I feel that, and this arrival is one of the most beautiful things of life itself. I would go so far as to say that you are a Christed soul. You're a Christed soul. You know this. Nobody has to tell you. You know this. You're aware. And this Christed soul, this awareness, is really becoming, in a sense, more and more understandably who we are and how we support and encourage each other. We have owned the truth of being our creative energy. Wow. One more. The last quality I would suggest is kind of the ultimate quality, and that is where the ultimate rubber meets the ultimate road. And it just seems to me that this is what we have done as well as anyone, anytime, anywhere. And I believe in a sense that the ultimate quality is the 5th quality, you're happy. You're just happy. There's a contentment about yourself. It's not based on this or that. There's just a contentment from within. You are filled from the inside. It's kind of like you know the truth, and the truth really has set you free. Let me just remind you of the truth. The truth is that you are a free, creating energy. You are a free, creating energy. That's the truth of life. And what I would suggest to you more than anything else is that the happiness you're feeling, the happiness we're experiencing is your eternal creative nature. I want to say it again. The happiness we're experiencing is our eternal creative nature. Understanding the fact that it is that presence within us from which things now come forth. We are creating it all. But we're creating it all knowingly. We're creating it all happily. And more than anything else, I hope you just feel that the most important aspect of life is to know who you are. And that is, you're an eternal, creative energy. You're an eternal, creative energy. Well, that is something. So let me just suggest that hopefully that you've enjoyed anyways these talks on these 6 series talks on the soul. And they always reach the culmination in the fact that we are a free creating energy. It's who we are now. It's who we will forever be. Perhaps I would also want to suggest to you that learning to be this free creative energy, this is really the template of our evolutionary progression in life. We're evolving our human species, and to be able to understand where you've been from a separated, individuated personality to moving into an aware soul, this is the evolution of life. Have you not changed? Have you not changed? And it's this change, I think, that is moving us into a great confidence of where we will be in the future. And it all boils down to the fact that each one of us is a free, creating energy. Would you take your sheet back up again? It'll probably make more sense now. And I'm going to give you, I'm going to read with a little gusto. So feel comfortable to read with gusto. Again, the word to extend means to create. Son of God means all of us. To extend is a fundamental aspect of God which He gave to all of us. We know what that means. In the creation, God extended Himself to us and imbued us with the same loving will to create. Now, isn't that the most wonderful thing? We have that same loving will. That's pretty big stuff. You have not only been fully created, but have also been created perfect. There is no emptiness in you. Because of your likeness to your Creator, you are creative. No child of God can lose this ability because it is inherent in what he or she is. Yeah. That's pretty powerful, huh? That's pretty powerful when we can read this way with a group of wonderful, mighty souls reading together. So with that in mind, let's take us into ourselves into meditation and see where we go. Let us begin our meditation today, first of all, with the intention being that we would see ourselves as a creative soul, as a creative energy, that this is who you are, freely creating the reality of your life. Fully now dedicate yourself to this meditation. I will guide you through everything in the meditation today, so no worry, no anxiety. Let's simply begin with your natural breathing rhythm. Just breathing in and breathing out. Nothing forced, but not being lackadaisical. Just focusing on the breath. Feeling the breath coming in, feeling the breath going out. Please begin. Just to assist you with your breathing, when you inhale, just simply say to yourself the word in. When you exhale, say to yourself the word out. In and out. If a thought comes into your mind, just let it pass. Just continue the breathing. In and out. Stay focused, but nothing forced. Please continue. I'm going to give you another set of guide words. On the in-breath, if you would simply say to yourself the word calm. On the out-breath, the word flow. Breathe in the energy of calmness. Exhale its flow. Calm, flow. Natural breathing rhythm. If a thought comes in, let it pass and return to the calm, flow. Please continue. Now, one more thing I ask you to do. If you would simply take either hand and just place it over your lungs, your heart area. And when you inhale, just concentrate on feeling your lungs expand. The movement will be subtle but clear. When you exhale, just feel your lungs deflating. Again, the movement will be subtle but clear. Feel the in and the out of your breath. Concentrate, easy to do. Feel the in and the out. Please continue. You may place your hand back on your lap. And then in a moment, I'm going just to ask you to notice something. But in the meantime, just continue the breath, nice and easy. And would you notice how calm you've begun to feel? How your mind and your body have slowed down and there's an incipient calmness coming your way. Just feel that peace, that calmness, very noticeable now. Now would you notice a second thing? That there is a presence in this peace. There's a you amid this peace. This is the inner you. This is that place. You're not in your head, but rather you're in the inner presence. Identify yourself with this inner you. This is who you are. There are three qualities to the inner you. The first one, you're totally free. You're totally free. There's no one yanking on your chain. There's no one that possesses you or has control over you. You are free. This is you. Would you notice how comfortable this feels? How good it feels to be free? You might be asking yourself, well, free to do what? The second quality, free to do whatever you want. You are in charge of you. You are in charge of you. Would you feel how powerful and strong you are? You're in charge of you. Which brings us to the third point. Yes, you are free. Yes, you are in charge. But it's the third point. You've made a choice. You've made a choice on how you will create. You, we, have chosen to create in the same loving will of the God Spirit. It's a choice we've made. We have chosen to create in the same loving will in which we've been created. You might say to yourself, well, why'd you make that choice? More fun? happier, strong when you need to be, but most of the time being gentle. Better friends, no enemies. You have self-identified with the power of the universe. I'll say it again. You have self-identified with the power of the universe. Oh yes, one last thing. We're doing this together. We have identified with the power of the universe. Yes, we have. Would you just notice how good you feel right now? Just notice, it's nice, fun. Now let's have one more little round of fun. This will just be nice. So as you're sitting here right now in this energy, I'm just going to ask that you bring this energy without any movement, no movement away from this energy. Just bring it here into the room and let it swirl among all of us here today. Just feel the energy just kind of swirling around us, atop each one of us, around us, within us. Just feel the energy among us. A slice of heaven on earth. And now again, without any movement, no movement away from this energy, feel this energy filling you. Let it fill every part of your physical body, your emotions, your mind. Just feel that presence within you. Elevating, lifting, and yet a part of you. Just feel you in you as you. And then just when you're ready, no movement now, no movement away from this energy within you. Just easily breathe your eyes open and allow this energy to emanate from you. Your ta-ta, Mary Kay. Remember that? I want to thank everyone in our YouTube audience for joining us here today. Nice to be with all of you, and we certainly extend a namaste, a great deal of love to you as we receive it back from you. Namaste, dear mighty souls.